$14 million. That is what Chief Keef's mansion in the California hills is worth right now. $14 million sitting on a property with a fountain in the front yard, a Lamborghini in the driveway, a recording studio down the hall, and mountain views out the back. And this is the same kid who was on house arrest in his grandmother's living room in Chicago just over a decade ago with no label, no budget, and nowhere to go. The come-up does not get more dramatic than this. Keith Farrell Cozart on August 15, 1995, south side of Chicago, Illinois. Grew up in the Parkway Garden Homes, a public housing complex so rough the streets renamed it O-Block. No silver spoon, no connections, no safety net. Just a grandmother named Margaret Carter raising him on a school bus driver salary, a karaoke machine his mom left behind, and a gift for rap that showed up before he even knew what to do with it. He was 5 years old the first time he recorded himself spitting bars. 5. Borrowing blank tapes from the neighbors just to hear his own voice played back. His biological father was never really in the picture. His grandmother was everything, and Chief Keef has said as much publicly. In one Instagram post honoring her after she passed, he talked about hoping he gave her something to brag about. That right there tells you everything about who this man is underneath all the flex. But growing up in O-Block meant the streets were always right there, always pulling. And by the time Keef was in his early teens, he was already catching cases and drawing attention from law enforcement. At 16, he ended up on house arrest at his grandmother's home after an incident involving police. No studio access, no label, no budget, just a teenager legally confined to a house in one of the most dangerous zip codes in America. Here is where it gets crazy, fam. Most kids in that situation fold. They sit down, stay quiet, wait it out. Keef turned that house into a studio. He shot his now legendary music video for I Don't Like right there in that living room. No set design, no wardrobe budget, no director with credits. Just him, his gang dancing and rapping in front of a camera because the song was too real to sit on. The video looked exactly like what it was. A kid from the hood doing what he loves with what he had. And that rawness, that authenticity, that is exactly what made the internet lose its mind. I Don't Like hit the clubs in Chicago first. Then it spread block to block, high school to high school, city to city. The drill sound, that dark heavy beat produced by Young Chop, the deadpan delivery, the street-coded lyrics. It was unlike anything mainstream hip-hop had heard before. People couldn't look away. They couldn't stop playing it. Then Kanye West heard it. Kanye, who was also from Chicago, understood immediately what he was listening to. This was not just a hot record. This was a generational sound. So Kanye did something that changed Chief Keef's life forever. He remixed the track himself, pulling in Big Sean, Pusha T, and Jadakiss, and dropped it to the world. According to reports from that period, Chief Keef suddenly shot up out of obscurity overnight. That is the only way to describe it. One day he's a 16-year-old on house arrest in O-Block. The next, every major label in America is lining up outside of his grandmother's door. Young Jeezy CTE World wanted him. Def Jam was calling. Atlantic was interested. It was a full-on bidding war over a teenager who legally could not leave his block. Chief Keef and his team waited it out and let the offers stack. And when they finally made their move, they went with Interscope Records, one of the most powerful labels in the world, for a deal worth $6 million across 3 albums, plus an additional $440,000 advance to launch his own label imprint, Glory Boys Entertainment. $6 million a 16-year-old from O-Block, Chicago. Let that actually sit with you for a second. This is a kid who was on house arrest months earlier shooting a music video in his grandmother's living room because he had nowhere else to go. And now he is signing a multi-million-dollar record deal that would have seemed like a fantasy to anyone who knew where he came from. His debut album, finally, Rich, dropped in December 2012. Love Sosa and Hate Being Sober were on there. The project peaked in the top 30 of the Billboard 200. The world now knew the name Chief Keef. The drill sound was officially out of Chicago and onto the global stage, and the money was officially flowing. And the very first thing he did with that money, he started spending it on properties and living like the future he had always envisioned for himself. The come-up had begun, but that's nothing compared to what he has built since, because the real Chief Keef empire story doesn't start in Chicago. It starts the moment he got on a plane and headed west because Chicago gave him the come up. California gave him the empire, and the difference between those two things is everything. Now, let's move on to the California pivot because this is where the story gets genuinely fascinating. One of the first things Chief Keef did with his Interscope money was rent the 6,000 square foot mansion in Highland Park, Illinois, a suburb just outside Chicago. 6 bedrooms, a home theater, views of Lake Michigan. This was a teenager, fam. A kid who grew up in a housing project now rattling around a 6,000 square foot palace. You can just see how surreal that must have felt. Going to sleep in a house that size when months earlier you were under house arrest in your grandmother's living room. But the Highland Park chapter collapsed fast. By 2014, he had fallen roughly $30,000 behind in rent, and the eviction notices hit. Now, most people in that position would go quiet and embarrassed. Maybe retreat back home and regroup in private. Not Sosa. He went on Instagram almost immediately and posted 2 words, "Sky is the limit." Then he announced he was moving to California. What really got people talking was the boldness of that move. No apology, no explanation, just a rebrand in real time. Executed with the same confidence he brought to everything else. He packed up and headed to Los Angeles, one of the most expensive real estate markets on the entire planet, and started building from there. He landed in the San Fernando Valley, specifically the Woodland Hills and Tarzana Corridor. And if you know anything about Los Angeles geography, you know that area is a completely different universe from where he came from. Gated driveways, mountain views, quiet streets, celebrity neighbors. The kind of neighborhood where nobody's outside arguing at midnight because everyone's too busy protecting their property values. For Chief Keef, coming off years of legal drama, evictions, and Chicago street politics, this was exactly the environment he needed to lock in and get serious about building something that would last. And hit that subscribe button right quick before we keep going because we're about to get into the actual mansion, the cars that fill his garage, exactly how much he gets paid per show, and what it really costs to run a California empire at this level. You do not want to miss this. Now, in the case of the Woodland Hills mansion, this is the crown jewel of Chief Keef's California empire. And when you hear what's inside, you will understand why people in the hip-hop community talk about this property the way they do. This is not a house. This is a compound. This is a declaration. The property has been valued at up to $14 million. Let that land for a second. The average American home costs around $400,000. Keith's crib is worth 35 of those. Stack. The estate sits in one of the most sought-after pockets of Los Angeles, tucked into the San Fernando Valley, where you need a gate code just to access the street. It's the kind of neighborhood where privacy is the most expensive amenity of all, and Chief Keef is paying for every inch of it. The house itself spans over 5,000 square feet of living space. 5 bedrooms, 6 bathrooms, Mediterranean-style architecture with stucco finishes, a red tile roof, and a gated entrance that announces immediately this is not a regular residence. This is an estate. You walk through the front gate, and the first thing that greets you is a massive front yard with a working fountain right in the middle. A fountain. This is a kid who grew up in public housing in Chicago. Now he's got a fountain in his front yard in California. You can just see how that moment, the first time he pulled up to this property and knew it was his, must have hit different than anything he had ever experienced. Step inside, and the living room takes over. Cavernous ceilings, a real fireplace, a massive television, furniture that looks like it was selected by someone who actually knows what they're doing with an interior design budget. The walls are clean and white, the layout is wide open, and the whole space breathes money in the quietest possible way. The kitchen is full granite countertops, stainless steel appliances, a breakfast bar, and a walk-in pantry big enough to stock for a month. Whether Chief Keef has a private chef rolling through or he's just ordering in, the infrastructure is there either way. But where this house really separates itself from a regular luxury property is what Keef built into the interior beyond the basics. There is a home recording studio inside this house. Not a corner with a microphone and some foam panels. An actual professional recording setup built into the property. For an artist who has consistently dropped multiple projects per year, this is not a luxury. This is a business decision. No booking fees, no hourly studio rates, no scheduling around other artists. Just walk down the hall at 3 o'clock in the morning when the idea hits. press record, and go to work. That studio alone has probably paid for itself many times over. Then, there's the arcade room. According to people who have been inside the property, the arcade in this house is on a different level entirely. We're talking a full collection of vintage and modern machines. The kind of setup that a kid who grew up with nothing dreams about specifically because it's the furthest thing imaginable from that reality. Sosa made it real. He literally has an arcade in his house. There's also a home theater, a game room, a wine cellar, and a sauna. The backyard runs deep, full swimming pool, a jacuzzi, a patio with seating, a fire pit, and a basketball court sitting under California mountain views. The backyard alone is bigger than most New York City apartments. You can just see how a summer afternoon back there, pool running, music playing, mountains in the background, feels like a world that O'Block never could have offered. That contrast is what makes this story hit so hard because Keef has not forgotten where he came from. He just made sure he would never have to go back. What really made the Tarzana property headline news was a 2018 incident that reminded everyone how seriously Chief Keef takes security now. Two suspects tried to break into his Tarzana residence while he was inside. One of them actually fired a shot at responding police officers when they arrived. Nobody was hurt, but that situation was deeply alarming, and it led to a full security upgrade across every California property Chief Keef operates out of. After that, the man locked his California footprint down tight. The Woodland Hills and Tarzana corridor is Chief Keef territory now. He has been planning routes there for years, and the properties he controls in that area are the physical foundation of everything else he has built. But that's nothing compared to what's sitting in the garage, because the car collection is where Chief Keef's money really becomes visible in a way you cannot miss. Now, let's get into every single machine in that garage, because this fleet is a full-on statement. First car we need to talk about is the Lamborghini Urus, because in 2023, Chief Keef did something with his that broke the internet. He didn't just buy a Urus. He commissioned a fully custom Scooby-Doo themed Lamborghini Urus, custom wrap, custom interior details, a one-of-a-kind machine based on the cartoon character executed on a $250,000 Italian SUV. The base price on a Urus runs around $250,000. It does 0 to 60 in 3.5 seconds, pushes over 650 horsepower, and already looks like nothing else on the road. What Chief Keef did to has got millions of views across social media before he even had to say a word about it. That is brand marketing on a level most companies can't buy. Then, there's the Lamborghini SVJ, which is an entirely different conversation. The SVJ is a track-focused supercar, naturally aspirated V12 engine, 759 horsepower, top speed of 217 miles per hour. Only 900 coupe versions were ever produced worldwide. The retail price sits around $580,000. Chief Keef has one sitting in his garage in Woodland Hills waiting for the mood to strike. The Rolls-Royce Cullinan is in the fleet, too. The Cullinan is the most expensive SUV Rolls-Royce makes, starting around $350,000 and climbing well past $500,000 with customization. Hand-stitched interior leather, real wood paneling, the kind of silence inside the cabin that makes the outside world feel like it's happening to someone else. This is the car you pull up in when you want to say everything without opening your mouth. The Ferrari SF90 rounds out the top tier. Ferrari's plug-in hybrid hypercar, 986 combined horsepower from a twin-turbocharged V8 and 3 electric motors. 0 to 60 in 2.5 seconds. Top speed over 200 miles per hour. Base price around $520,000. This is one of the most technologically advanced road cars ever built, and Chief Keef is running it through the streets of Los Angeles on a regular basis. Add in a Mercedes-Benz AMG G63, the boxy 577 horsepower celebrity SUV that starts around $160,000 and turns heads everywhere it goes, and the Mopar Red-Eye Dodge Challenger, throwing down 797 horsepower of American muscle, and you start to understand that this garage covers every possible energy. Luxury, exotic, performance, muscle, all of it represented. Earlier in his career, the fleet also included a Ferrari 458 Spider, multiple Bentleys, a Mulsanne, a Continental, and a Roadster, an Audi Q7, and a BMW i8. Some of those rotated out as the collection evolved, but at any given moment, Chief Keef's garage represents millions of dollars in automotive hardware under one roof. Y'all think this is just about showing off? Nah. For Keef, the cars are an extension of the brand identity. Every clip, every photo, every sighting is content. It's cultural presence. It's the answer to every person who ever doubted that a kid from Parkway Garden Homes could build something real and lasting. Pulling up in a $580,000 SVJ when you used to borrow blank tapes from your neighbors to record your voice is not a flex. It's a testimony. It's the physical manifestation of a story that most people would not have bet on. And Sosa knew it was coming the whole time. Now, let's get into the actual money. How much he earns, how much goes out, and how he keeps all of this running. Because this is where people's jaws really drop. Chief Keef's estimated net worth sits at around $4 million as of 2025. Some reports put it higher, some lower. The number has fluctuated over the years based on legal costs, child support obligations, and the natural ups and downs of an independent music career. But what matters is the infrastructure. And the infrastructure is strong. According to reports, Chief Keef earns between $40,000 and $85,000 per show. On a busy run, he's hitting multiple stages per month. Do the math at the low end. 10 shows brings in $400,000. Just for performing. Just for doing what he has been doing since he was a teenager in his grandmother's house. The touring income alone would cover most people's annual salary in a single weekend. Song features are an even bigger bag per transaction. He reportedly charges around $150,000 per feature verse. That is the rate you can command when your name carries the weight that Chief Keef does. When other artists know that your voice on their track adds credibility, street credibility, cultural credibility that money alone cannot manufacture. Artists are paying six figures just to get Sosa on a song. Not because it's trending, not because his team pushed for it, because the value is genuinely there. And the industry knows it. That tells you everything about where his name sits 15 years into this career. Beyond performing, the business side is where the Real Foundation lives. Chief Keef runs Glow Gang, which started as a music collective and expanded into a full clothing brand with merchandise that his fan base actively seeks out and purchases. He also operates 43 Billion, his own record label, which gives him complete ownership and control over his music in a way the Interscope deal never could. When you own your masters and run your own label, you are the corporation. You are not waiting on a quarterly statement from someone else's accounting department. The money comes to you directly. His catalog generates streaming royalties every single month. Love Sosa has been played hundreds of millions of times since 2012. I Don't Like Finito, Kiki, Earned It, Numb Bass. These records are still playing in cars, gyms, and parties all over the world more than a decade after they dropped. That is passive income. That is the machine running in the background whether Chief Keef is working or not. It does not stop. It does not call in sick. It does not need a meeting. It just pays every single month on top of everything else. Sponsorships add another layer. He reportedly pulls six figures per brand partnership deal. And given that he is genuinely one of the most sampled and referenced artists in the last 15 years of hip-hop, brands that want access to his audience are willing to pay for it. Now, let's talk about what all of this actually costs to maintain. Because this is the part most people skip over. A $14 million property in Los Angeles generates serious property tax obligations every single year. Security costs money, and after the 2018 Tarzana break-in incident, Chief Keef does not play about his security infrastructure. Utilities on a 5,000-plus square foot home with a pool, a jacuzzi, a home gym, a recording studio, and an arcade running at all times are not a small monthly expense. Landscaping, staffing, repairs, upkeep, it all adds up in ways that most people never think about when they look at someone's lifestyle from the outside. The car collection carries its own overhead entirely. Insuring a Lamborghini SVJ, a Rolls-Royce Cullinan, a Ferrari SF90, and multiple other exotics simultaneously is a significant annual cost. Maintenance on Italian supercars is not happening at your neighborhood shop. Specialized service, dealer maintenance schedules, and the inevitable wear-on machines driven hard on Los Angeles streets. All of it eats into the budget consistently. And Chief Keef has 9 children. Child support obligations have been documented as part of his financial picture for years. Courts have pursued him for payments at various points in his career, which helps explain the fluctuation in reported net worth figures despite the consistent income he generates. He is supporting a large family while also maintaining one of the most expensive lifestyles in hip-hop. But here is what's real, gang. The man has built a diversified financial engine. Label income, touring income, streaming royalties, merchandise, feature fees, brand partnerships, multiple streams feeding the same operation. And he has actual real property and business equity to show for the years of work, not just memories of money that already got spent. What really got the hip-hop community talking over the last few years is how the jewelry collection has grown right alongside everything else. Chief Keef is known for wearing serious custom pieces, chains and pendants with real diamond weight, Glow Gang logo pieces iced out by the best jewelers in the game, wrist setups that announce themselves before he even walks into a room. We're talking pieces that cost tens of thousands of dollars each. The kind of collection that a professional appraiser has to sit with for a minute before giving you a number. In the world of hip-hop jewelry, Keef's collection is not just about flexing. It is a physical timeline of the journey. Every chain is a chapter. Every pendant is proof that O-Block is a long way away. The lifestyle in Woodland Hills is everything that O-Block wasn't. Gated, quiet, private, mountain views from the backyard, a different exotic in the driveway, depending on the day's energy, a recording studio 30 feet from the bedroom. So, when a song idea shows up at 2 o'clock in the morning, which is exactly when they tend to show up for artists like him, he does not have to go anywhere. He just walks down the hall. He is still actively creating, too. Almighty So 2 dropped in 2024, showing that more than a decade into this career, the engine is still running full speed. The output has not slowed. The influence has not faded. Younger artists across every lane of rap still name Chief Keef as a direct reference for the music, for the delivery, for the attitude, for the independent mindset. His cadence alone has been borrowed so many times by so many artists that it stopped being an influence and became a fundamental element of the genre. Glow Gang has become a full cultural identity beyond just a brand. People get Glow Gang tattoos. People name their crews after it. In certain corners of hip-hop, it is not a label, it is a worldview. And every piece of that cultural weight converts into financial weight for the man who built it from scratch, in a housing project on the south side of Chicago. That is real equity, the kind that does not show up on a balance sheet, but absolutely shows up in the room when his name gets mentioned. So, where does the empire stand today as we move through 2025 into 2026? Chief Keef is 30 years old. He started rapping at 5. He went viral at 16. He changed the sound of hip-hop at 17 with Finally Rich. He has been through a major label deal and a major label drop. He has been evicted from mansions. He has faced legal battles, public setbacks, child support court dates, and more than a few moments where it looked like the story might end very differently than it has. And through all of it, the chaos, the noise, the people writing him off, he kept building, kept dropping music, kept expanding the footprint. That level of consistency under pressure is genuinely rare in this industry, and it is a huge part of why the empire is still standing and still growing today. But the California chapter has been the most stable and the most expansive chapter of his life. The hills have been good to Sosa. The Woodland Hills and Tarzana corridor is his territory now, not in the street sense, but in the real estate business and lifestyle sense. He built something out there that Chicago could not give him, and he did it on his own terms with no one holding the pen but him. His empire today is real estate that has appreciated significantly since purchased. The Woodland Hills property alone climbed from $1.5 million at acquisition to over $2.5 million in current estimated value, meaning he is building actual generational wealth through property ownership, not just spending. A garage full of million-dollar machines, a catalog that pays monthly without asking anything in return, a label he controls entirely, a clothing brand with a loyal global customer base, a touring schedule that puts six-figure checks in his pocket every time he takes the stage, and a cultural legacy that nobody can take, copy, or replace. That is what a real empire looks like, not just a big number on a contract, the whole structure standing on its own. No cap, Chief Keef is one of the most important artists of the last 15 years of hip-hop. Not just for the hits, not just for the money, for the blueprint he drew for an entire generation of kids who grew up in places the world forgot about. He showed them that raw talent and real authenticity, not industry connections, not a famous family, not money to begin with, can take you from borrowing blank tapes in O Block to owning $14 million worth of California Hills real estate before you turn 30. He is proof that the system does not have to open a door for you if you are willing to build your own. And that is a lesson that goes way beyond music. He went from recording music videos under house arrest in his grandmother's home to sitting on top of a $14 million estate in Los Angeles, a garage full of Lamborghinis and Rolls-Royces and Ferraris, running his own label, stacking royalties on catalog that defined a genre, raising 9 kids, and keeping a lifestyle going that most people cannot even picture in their imagination. He did it before he was old enough to rent a car. He was already a millionaire while most of his peers were still figuring out high school. That is not normal. That is not common. That is Chief Keef, and the world is still catching up to what he started. That's the real story, fam. Not just the music. Not just the hits. The empire. The California empire. Built from the ground up. Brick by brick. Bar by bar. One property at a time, and one car at a time, and one stream at a time. And from where Sosa is sitting right now, up in those hills with the mountains behind him and the whole city spread out below, it does not look like he is slowing down anytime soon. And speaking of artists who built empires from nothing that the world is still trying to fully understand and figure out, click this video right here to see how other rappers from the streets are stacking real estate, running their own labels, and building generational wealth that goes way beyond the music. You will not be disappointed, gang.